Have you ever looked at, say, a rock and a rabbit and just wondered, what's the actual difference? I mean, besides the obvious. One is alive, the other isn't. But how do we know for sure? Well, today, we're diving into one of biology's biggest questions. What does it really mean to be alive?
So, let's start with a little puzzle. A crystal can get bigger, it can grow, and of course, a plant grows too. At a glance, it seems pretty similar, but we all know deep down only one of them is alive. So how do scientists move past a gut feeling and get to a real, concrete answer? How can they be absolutely sure?
Well, it turns out biologists have a system for this. They don't just guess. They have this amazing tool, you could almost call it a secret life code, designed to solve this exact mystery. It's how they separate the living from the non-living, no guesswork involved.
And that special tool has a name, GREN. Now, I know it sounds like a person's name, right? But it's actually a super clever mnemonic, and it's pretty much the key to our entire investigation today.
You see, GREN is an acronym. Each letter stands for one of the essential processes of life. That's movement, respiration, sensitivity, growth, reproduction, excretion, and nutrition. And here's the deal. To officially be called alive, something has to do all 7 of these things. So let's start breaking this down, shall we? We're going to kick things off with the first 3 letters, M, R, and S. First up, M is for movement. And right out of the gate, this one might not be what you think.
We usually think of movement as, a rabbit hopping across a field. But in biology, it's any action that causes a change in position. And that absolutely includes plants. Ever see a sunflower turn its head to follow the sun? That's movement.
Okay, next up in our checklist is R for respiration. Now this is one where a lot of people get tripped up, so let's get it straight. Most of us hear respiration and we immediately think of breathing. But scientifically, it's something happening on a much smaller, more fundamental level. It's a chemical reaction happening inside every single living cell to unlock energy from food. It's literally the power source for being alive. So here's the crucial difference. Breathing is a mechanical process. It's just moving air in and out. Respiration, on the other hand, is a chemical process that releases energy in the cells. A plant doesn't have lungs, it doesn't breathe. But believe me, every one of its cells is respiring.
All right, that brings us to the S in GREN, which stands for sensitivity.
This is all about being able to notice what's going on around you and react to it. You touch something hot, you yank your hand back without even thinking about it. That's sensitivity in action. And it's not just animals. When a plant on your windowsill leans its leaves toward the light, it's detecting a stimulus and responding. It's being sensitive.
Okay, we are officially halfway through. We've knocked out M, R, and S. Now let's dive into the second half of our checklist, G, R, E, and N.
Next up is G for growth. And this brings us right back to that puzzle we started with, the crystal in the plant.
So, what is the big difference? Well, biological growth is a permanent increase in size because an organism is making more cells or its cells are getting bigger. A crystal just has more layers of stuff added to the outside. A plant, however, is building complex new parts from within. Totally different ballgame.
The second R in our mnemonic is a huge one. It stands for reproduction, and it's absolutely vital for life to continue.
This one's pretty straightforward, right? It's the process of making more of the same kind of thing. An oak tree makes acorns that become new oak trees. A bacterium splits and becomes 2 bacteria. A crystal just sits there. It can't make new, independent baby crystals.
Next on our list is E for excretion. Now, this might not sound like the most glamorous topic, but it is 100% essential.
To put it simply, excretion is about getting rid of waste. All those chemical reactions happening inside a living thing create byproducts. If those byproducts build up, they'd become toxic. So living things have to take out the trash. We breathe out carbon dioxide, plants release oxygen. It's all excretion. And that brings us to our final letter N, which of course stands for nutrition. You can't run a car without fuel, and you can't run a living thing without nutrition. It's all about taking in the materials you need for energy, for growth, for everything. Some organisms, like plants, are amazing. They make their own food from sunlight. Others, like us humans, have to get our nutrition by eating other organisms. And there we have it. We've unpacked the entire MRSG checklist. Now we have the scientific tool we need to go back and solve our opening mystery once and for all. So let's run through it one last time just to lock it in.
To be considered alive, an organism has to tick all these boxes: movement, respiration, sensitivity, growth, reproduction, excretion, and nutrition. Not just a few, the whole shebang, all 7.
This is where the magic happens. Let's put our plant and our crystal to the test. The plant, it moves, it respires, it's sensitive, it grows, it reproduces, it excretes, and it gets nutrition. It checks all 7 boxes. The crystal, it only checks 1, growth. And as we already figured out, it's a totally different kind of growth anyway. And just like that, the mystery is solved. That is the scientific answer. That's how we know.
But I'm going to leave you with a real head-scratcher. What about a virus? Think about it. It can reproduce, for sure, but it can't do it on its own. It has to hijack a host cell to do the work. It doesn't respire or excrete or grow on its own. So, using our MRS GREN checklist, where does it fit? Are viruses alive? That's a debate that is still going on, and it really makes you think, doesn't it? Something to chew on.